Hello, and welcome to Recapping with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Recapping Podcast.
Also, rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We want to hear your thoughts on the movies and shows we review.
Leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts or our YouTube channel, and we will read them during the show.
Or reach out to us on social media. We love talking all things entertainment and pop culture with you.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you. Hello, Ashley.
Hello, darling.
How are you?
I'm good. I am still in the thick of quite a few things, but I am grateful always to step on the mic and get a chance to talk about some things with you. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. When this episode drops, it'll be part 2 of Poland. So I am ecstatic.
For a minute, I was like, what are you saying? And then, Bridgerton
part 2 is coming back. And it's so funny because I'm saying we, fans of the series, didn't have this type of red carpet rollout for the couples because season 1 premiered on Christmas during the pandemic, made Reggae and Phoebe stars overnight. And then Anthony, or Cantony for those who know, if you know, you know. I think there was some trepidation because they were like, oh no, there's no Reggae. Now it's in Jonathan Bailey's hands and this girl we don't know, but yet she's gorgeous, Simone Ashley, and sure enough, obsessed.
Mm-hmm. Still to this day,
one of my favorite seasons, because I don't even know if between this and Queen Charlotte, I can't, I don't want to compare. And then now we went through part 1 and that cliffhanger was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Seriously. And they were like, wait. And so we're here. We made it. And so I'm ecstatic. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into these headlines today. Ashley, have you ever asked anyone, I know you want these goodies, you gotta have them?
No, but I was just singing it. And I still kind of remember the majority of the words. It's funny how much you hold on to lyrics over the years. Like there's just some lyrics that stick, and then some you like, ooh, I don't remember a single word. Right. Goodies is one of those that's an earworm. I still remember the video so well. Like CeCe coming on the scene, I was like, damn, she can dance. You know what I'm saying? That's what I remember. It's like being like, girl, you can dance your ass off.
20 years, Ashley.
Yeah, we old.
I was pretty much like, I know you effing lying.
Yep. We old, baby. How? We old.
How, Sway? How?
But she's never looked better. So
never looked better.
There's that.
20 years of the single and the album release. I'm looking at E.T. Ciara and Russell Wilson celebrate achieving career milestones the same day. Quote, our dreams came true. So when her album and her single came out, it was the same day he was drafted into baseball because he's a dual athlete. I don't know if you know that. He plays football and baseball.
I sure did not. Okay, Ken Griffey Jr.
Exactly. So I thought it was worth highlighting because these are core memories for millennials out there. Speaking of living the millennial life, one of the queens of singing, the Celine Dion, she's talking. She is getting us ready for her documentary coming out June 25th on Prime, named I Am Celine Dion. But in less happy news, she speaks to Hoda, and I saw her interview it was snippets of a longer episode that's actually coming out tonight, a whole hour on NBC, where she sits down and talks about her life, her career, and her overcoming her stiff person syndrome. I'm looking at people.com. It says Celine Dion says her sons fuel her to fight stiff person syndrome. Quote, they already lost a parent. Whew.
Yeah.
I saw clips of the interview. I'll probably watch the whole thing because, again, she has been ingrained in my life for many, many years. I remember, obviously, Titanic being the pinnacle, but VH1 used to have the show called The Divas. She was out here singing with Destiny's Child and all the other legends. And she's just freaking Celine Dion. You know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. Anyone got what I got there? Okay. She's so, what I love the most about Celine Dion and why I will always root for her, she just has such a purity of heart. For her to have been a part of this industry since she was a teenager, and just honestly, all she does is work, really, and she does it very well. What was heartbreaking in the clips that I did see was her speaking to how her muscle spasms can be so intense that they could break a rib. Ashley,
crazy.
My mouth was agape. Ashley, are you going to watch this interview? Are you going to watch this documentary? What are your thoughts on her speaking out, and why now?
So I just want to say real quick, I misspoke earlier. I meant Deion Sanders, not Ken Griffey Jr., because that was going to bug me. I was thinking Deion and said Ken. Anyway, yes, I'm going to watch the documentary for sure, because y'all know I love a documentary. We're recapping a documentary next week, in fact. And I love Celine Dion. I mean, I don't think I have the fandom that some people have, but I revere her as a voice in the industry. And I love people who can blow. And also, to your point, it's not just a purity of heart. Like, she has an elegante essence about her. Like, she's such a lady to me, and I'm just always like, she's graceful. I've always like just had this respect for her in a certain sort of way. And as a talent, like when she said the thing in the interview about like, even if I have to crawl on stage, I'm gonna make it back, not because I have to, but because I want to. I miss it. It almost brought me to tears, you know what I'm saying? Because when you have this God-given gift and ability and it's taken from you, I literally cannot imagine. Because especially when you have voices like Celine and Whitney and Mariah and all these people that are once in a lifetime.
Yes.
You know, I'm rooting for you. I want you to be able to get back, not just for us, but for you, get back to that thing that you love and that thing that, you know, fills you up, fills your cup. But I do think one of the great things about Celine coming forward is that she did give a voice to a condition that I personally had never heard of. I don't think a lot of people had heard of stiff person syndrome. So I'm sure there were people who are probably suffering in silence with it. And if it brings awareness, can bring more funding, things like that are super helpful. Because just think about how helpful the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge was at the time in fundraising. So I think it just helps when you have conditions that are spotlighted publicly in this way.
Well said. The other part of her interview that was very touching to me is how her as an artist viewing her shows as an invitation to her fans and saying, oh, I'm going to do my best. No, I want to give 100%. I was very touched by that. I had no idea that artists, I'm sure not all of them, ones with longevity like herself, may view it in that way. I was just really impressed by that thought process where she's just like, no, it's like you're hosting a dinner to some extent, right? It's like you want everyone to have a good time and you want to deliver 110%.
What do you think of that in contrast to Gaga coming out saying that she had COVID for 5 of her shows back in like 2022 and still went on because she didn't want to let her fans down by canceling, even though she was obviously putting people in harm's way, essentially, by not canceling?
That's an That's a great point. But honestly, I feel like Michael would have done something like that. Like, I feel like the show must go on is a real thing because I'm reminded recently of the cancellation by Auntie Aretha, not Aretha,
Anita Baker.
Anita Baker.
They was already at the theater. Listen, I would have been cussing her up
They
and down.
were cussing her out. I mean, she's about to be up there with Lauryn Hill at this rate.
She is. She had the debacle with Babyface. Like, she is.
Yes.
She is.
So, I don't know, Ashley. I don't know. Because, like, how many people got COVID after she did those shows? You know what I mean?
I think there has to be some level of... I think there has to be some level of balance, right, between like professionalism and the show must go on, and also like taking your health and other people's health and all that into consideration. Because it wasn't just about her. She could have been super spreading amongst the fans, amongst her staff, all those folks. I guess she told them like, hey, you have the option to not perform, but only some people are not going to perform because then you're not going to have a show, and they're probably thinking like, well, I got, leadership comes from the top down. So if Gaga's going on and she's sick, what is that? I got to go on.
Yeah. And I know us in corporate spaces, this is like, oh, we don't do that anymore. At least in my organization, we do not do that. Like, you stay home.
Yeah. I mean, especially with COVID, right? Because COVID got really, really scary, and there was so much death and so much that happened that it just didn't feel like it was something to be played with. It's not like, oh, I have the flu, which still can kill people. It's not like, oh, I have a cold. You had something that was taking people, unaliving people a lot when everything first popped off. So, I think I get it. I get the professionalism, especially from the OGs, and I love it, but I do think there's a balance. And thankfully, Celine obviously is taking her health and making it a priority first and foremost with trying to battle this syndrome.
Mm-hmm. I am looking forward to the documentary and any highlights that Hoda gets after this hour-long conversation. Also, I'm going to just be messy. Why do you think she went to Hoda and not like Gail or Diane?
Is Diane still doing interviews? I haven't seen a Diane Sawyer interview in 11 years.
It's been a minute.
Part of me thinks she's retired. I don't know. Hoda has a personability. What's the word I'm looking for? Is that a word? Personability? She's very personable. Hoda is very personable. You could even tell that she was feeling her feelings when Celine is sitting there talking to her. Yes. So I think maybe it comes down to things like that, is especially when you're dealing with something that's like a health crisis, you do probably want people that you feel comfortable with. And so maybe they already had a rapport. That's possible. You're not necessarily looking for somebody with hard hitting journalistic instinct necessarily. If I'm coming to you and I'm talking about, as an entertainer, me trying to get my footing back because I've been battling something. So I think Hoda, it seems like she held it down.
All right. Well, love you, Celine, and I can't wait to see the documentary. Let's move on and talk about a future legend. The Victoria Monet dropped her long-awaited music video for All Right today. But for y'all, it'll have been yesterday.
Couple of days.
Couple of days. That's right. First of all, this is one of my favorite songs off of Jaguar 2. It follows closely behind On My Mama, of course. This music video was directed by Dave Meyers and choreographed by the Sean Bankhead. Y'all, this man, he's already legendary to me because he has choreographed some of the best music videos in the last 5 years. Anything he does with Normani, Lil Nas X, Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, On My Mama, Victoria Monet, like, he is so freaking talented, and he did not disappoint in this particular music video. So, Ashley, we don't usually do this, but I'm like, I want to talk about this music video. Like, it is so good. It's so good. She does this stutter move in the beginning when she's wearing that entire bodysuit. From my personal viewing, I saw automatically she paid homage to Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson. That was off the bat.
Absolutely.
You get to pick which one you want, whether it's Smooth Criminal or Janet Jackson's All Right, which is one of my favorite freaking music videos she's ever done. That All Right with Me is oh, legendary. And that dance, oh,
it's iconic.
So iconic. And so the fact that Victoria put her spin on that, and then Ashley, it's the end too, with the flames and the rubbing the hands together and the blowing. It's so freaking good, Ashley. I need to know your thoughts on this music video, and what other pop culture reference did you catch?
This also gave me "We Need a Resolution" Aaliyah vibes.
Oh, what part?
It's the look where they're. I mean, it's kind of like, are they in blue? It's where you're talking about the flames and the fire, but it's an essence. It's like an essence of like the cinematography of "We Need a Resolution" more than anything. And obviously with the dancing, you know, Aaliyah also did her thing with her dancing, but Victoria Monet in this video definitely caught the Jacksons' inspiration. But can I just say, for me too, it was the marrying of Dave Meyers with Victoria Monet, because Dave Meyers made all the videos of the 90s and early 2000s that I used to like really, really love from pop stars. And I still remember Elliott, all Janet the like, Jackson, and all the like Spears. Making the videos, and like Dave Meyers was a constant for me. And so like seeing that artistry that he still has with his treatments really excited me. You talk about like the special effects, like that just really excites me. And then when she busts it down like Victoria, like girl, you make me like, this is why I always ask people like, would you rather be able to sing or dance? Now for me, I love to sing. I get it. I would love to be able to just have one day where I have the voice of Whitney Houston and can blow, but dancing, there's an artistry to dancing that's just undeniable for me. And Victoria is one of the best in the industry right now in terms of the choreography and her ability and her smoothness and just the whole concept. I loved it. 10 out of 10. She
said, oh, easy. She also gave me Janet Jackson vibes from her Feedback music video in the first part of
a little bit of Missy Elliott too in there, I would say, conceptually.
Yeah, and it looks like Victoria said, I'm looking at people.com. She said, this video is a visual presentation of that sentiment through freedom of movement and fluidity between masculine and feminine energy. She said, All Right is about liberation and freedom at its core. So bravo. I'm not gonna lie though, the picture that she has for the still or the thumbnail for the music video, I legit thought it was Tinashe though at first glance. I don't know if it's because of the blonde or something. I don't know.
I mean, Tinashe can dance her ass off too, but
she can. But no, it's a still, and I was like, is that Tinashe? Because you know her nasty girl situation, she's giving wet blonde hair too, so I don't know. But so good, bravo Victoria. All right, and our final headline for today, I'm looking at Variety. Practical Magic 2, Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman in talks to return for sequel. Ashley, are you gonna watch it? Do you care? Did you see the first one? Are you excited? I need to know these things.
I've absolutely seen the first one multiple times. What are we saying?
I know.
It's a classic.
I know.
It's a classic.
Yes.
The first one did freak me out with the resurrection part with the boyfriend. I still vividly remember that. It's almost like in The Witches, the scene with Jack Nicholson where he's like in the church and he's like throwing up. That's like one of the most visceral scenes from that film for me. And so it's kind of the same with this. It's something about like the witchcraft and wizardry wizardry of it all. I guess that they have to have at least one like major wild or scary or whatever scene. But for the most part, like I loved the chemistry between Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman in this. So to see them reunite at this stage in their lives and their careers, I'd be really excited to see what that would look like. Where are we now? Obviously, the family curse has allegedly been lifted. So are we in love? Have we moved on? And now do we have like our daughters are trying to figure some stuff out? Like, give me a little tease of what I can anticipate in terms of the storyline and who's going to get cast. And I think I'll be even more excited. But I love Sandra Bullock. I love Nicole Kidman. I think they are phenomenal actresses. So to reunite them with, you know, the same staff and the same writers and everybody who was involved in the first one, like, I think it's going to be a home run.
Yes, this classic came out in 1998. Okay, and when we know them from like the first film, their careers have been so massive since then. It would be really exciting to see them paired together. This is like one of my favorite spooky season. It's very like cozy, very like witchy, like I don't know, it's always been a fave, and I'll watch it and we'll probably recap it.
Yeah, just, you know, I think this is not going to be like as crazy spoofy as like Hocus Pocus 2 was, which I also feel excited about. Like I don't think they're going to try to, you know, live up to anybody's expectations but their own, so that makes me excited for it too.
All right, let's get into our hot topic. All right. One of our big hot topics for today, Rihanna. She has been very busy with the rollout of her brand new hair care line. We've already had previous conversations about, you know, the rollout. I was talking about how sick I am about, you know, celebrities introducing hair care products with weaves. She claimed that, you know, that wasn't the case. And she has since come out rocking her real curls, Ashley. Girl, so like I was on the internet the other day and this had me rolling. Okay. This is from Lisa Beasley. Okay. Billionaires being forced to show their real hair because they wanted to come out with hair products is funny to me. And I couldn't say any better, Ashley. Did we bully her?
Maybe, because I literally was thinking when I saw it, I was like, and I just said, have I ever seen her actual hair on the last podcast? So Rihanna, thank you for the listen. Thank you for your fandom.
The feeling is mutual.
No, but obviously she's had short hair in the history of her many hairstyles and she rocks it beautifully and well. I was thinking though, like, did they literally just cut your hair and then you stepped out, because it just didn't feel like she was doing anything with it yet. But I just saw her again at like a red carpet appearance and I was like, okay, here we go. Now the curls are popping. Now I'm getting a sense of like what we're doing here. And she really did dye her hair blonde. So there was that too, because I didn't know if she had really colored her actual hair or not from the whole blonde era she's been in.
But so did you see that promo shot with her under the water with her makeup? Her face was beat as always, but she was holding her product. And it was like suds. And people were like, is she really washing her wig like that? Like,
no, I did not see that.
You did not.
But her hair care line drops today, the day this episode comes out. So
it's available on its website. I guess it's not in Sephora yet.
Yeah, right. I'm ready. I want to see what the girlies think.
But before she did the red carpet and the press for Fenty hair, she was out here in these streets wearing her hair braided up like, you know, wig braids and wearing a t-shirt that says, I'm retired. And she had everybody freaking out during her interviews with the different media outlets. They all asked her about it. And she was like, oh my goodness, I'm not really retired. It says this is as dressed up as I get. She's like, you didn't read the bottom, but she's bringing attention to herself, Ashley. And what is she trying to tell us? Because she, in one of those interviews, I think it was with Entertainment Tonight, she said, you know what? I've started all the way over and I'm ready for R9. But then at another outlet, she said, I'm barely in the studio because of my kids. So what is she doing?
She's playing. She's playing.
She's trolling.
She's playing with people's emotions at this point. Like I even posted the one where she was saying, "Oh, I'm rediscovering music, and it's just been so long that I just want to go back and listen to what I have, and then I can decide kind of how I want to move forward." I said, yeah, we'll see about that. Like you're playing with people's emotions at this point. I don't know if people can get this album next year. I don't know if it's going to be 10 years. I don't know if it's going to be never. I just wish we would stop asking. Because at this point, I think she's just pulling stuff out her ass to give people an answer. People have asked in every interview she's done, for everything she launches, for her Super Bowl halftime show. She ain't got no more answers for y'all.
And honestly, what she's been doing in terms of expanding her makeup into Asian markets and expanding the product line into hair, this is way more profitable for her than her music.
If she wanted to drop an album, she would find the time.
Exactly.
She don't want to, is the end and moral of the story.
But what's also interesting is apparently her song Diamonds has gone diamond. And she said that she appreciates and loves her fan base, aka the Navy, for supporting her, breaking records and not even thinking twice about it.
Baby,
she's like, oh, music, what's that?
I forgot what her fans were called. It's been so long. I forgot. The Navy. You're right. I forgot.
Oh man. Well, she's living her best life, and so she's also very rich, so she can do whatever she wants.
Do you, boo-boo?
All right, let's go into our final hot topic. Bad boys, what you gonna do?
What you gonna do when they come for you? Don't know the rest of the word. Da 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 da.
Ashley, Bad Boys 4. It's doing some things. At the box office, Sony's Bad Boys Ride or Die, the fourth entry in the Will Smith and Martin Lawrence led buddy cop series, started strong with $56 million and globally $104.6 million. This is looking pretty good, Ashley, compared to the box office. It's been kind of weak. A lot of people have talked about how the new Mad Max saga, the prequel, performed really bad at the box office, and everybody was holding with bated breath on the performance of this one since the 2020 Oscar slap. Before the weekend, though, we had people like Stephen A. Smith claiming that lots of folks are going to find it hard to watch Will Smith in this new movie since the slap, because he never took the time to sit down and have a conversation. What's interesting about his statement also is he refers to Chris Rock as a dear friend multiple times. And I do think there were maybe a point or two made, but at the same time, I never doubted Will Smith's ability to perform well with this particular movie. Ashley, how about you? Was there any validity to Stephen A. Smith's remarks?
I didn't even sit through his remarks. I saw them on social media. I kept scrolling.
I did too initially. I did too, but I had to talk about it because the fact that it performed so well, I'm like, he since came back and said some things, and I'll get to it, but it was just seemed like he was so confident the movie was going to bomb.
I hear you. And I tried to listen to it for the sake of this episode and discussion, and I couldn't do it because Stephen A. Smith's opinions most of the time are a non-factor for me. He said too many questionable things for me to still care about his opinion and his judgment, particularly about Trump. So I don't care what Stephen A. Smith has to say. Will Smith does not owe me or anybody else an apology at this point. I think the Black community has sufficiently moved on. If we were ever really on it in the first place, people have bad days. It happens. But this film, I did not necessarily know how it was going to perform just because I personally have been off the Bad Boys bandwagon since number 2. I took forever to watch number 3. I think I waited all the way till it was available on some streaming platform and I was not blown away. So I remember at first when Bad Boys 4 was announced, I was like, so are we about to turn into just the Fast and the Furious and just be making movies for no reason without a strong storyline?
Yeah, and Michael Bay blowing everything up. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I get really bored of those series, but the word of mouth for this has been very good. I had one friend who posted on IG talking about 4 is better than 3, and I was like, oh, word, and we had a little back and forth. I had 2 other friends over the weekend go and see this, and I was like, oh shit, I'm about to have to go see Bad Boys 4 in theaters because the word of mouth is good. And so, yes, I still enjoy Will Smith. I still enjoy Martin Lawrence. But you know what I enjoy more than them? A good film. So if this is worth my while and worth my money, you're damn right I'm going to go see it in the theater. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, we're seeing it for Father's Day weekend with my dad. So
I bet a lot of people will be, actually.
Yeah. So I knew I was going to see it. I also heard very positive statements. I will say I absolutely avoided Stephen A. Smith's statement talking about Will Smith initially. The only reason why I circle back is because after the success of the box office, I was curious if he was going to back down. And in some ways, he actually kind of did. But he did also drive home his points of, it would be nice to hear what Will Smith has to say in a sit down, but I don't think he owes it to us. Like if he decides to do it, I think that's one thing, but he's apologized and move on. I will say the press for this movie, I was technically on pins and needles because there were a lot of major outlets on the red carpet. And there was just a little bit of anxiety or tension with Will during some of the interviews, but no one asked him about the slap, which I'm sure was intentional. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it probably came from freaking Sony and not just Will. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on this film. But, and as I'll mention later, one of my favorite interviews, the Hot Ones, I was like, is he going to ask him? But I'm like, no one goes on the Hot Ones to be asked pressing questions. So that one was clear as well. So yeah, it's and it's also been really great because they prioritize Black media for the rollout of this film too. So a lot of Black creatives got a chance to work with them. I'm thinking about Kevin on Stage.
His pictures are hilarious.
Hilarious. Oh, Ashley, we got to talk about this really quick. You see that man that said that by him getting 4 women pregnant, that was a life hack?
Yes, ma'am. If we need to start applying for podcast licenses, let's do it. Responsible podcasters only need apply.
Having had a child myself and leaving the hospital, I'm like, y'all ain't gonna make me sign nothing. I know she came from me, but like there's no rules. There's not a playbook. There are no sureties going home with this child.
I would love to hear from those 4 women. Have them on the show. Bring them on. Let's hear their perspective.
He said he is raising his kids in a community, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Make it stop. It's
pricey. It makes you
embarrassed, and it makes you almost embarrassed to have a podcast. Like in some ways, I'm like, everybody think they can do this. Like,
I mean, that's the world of content creation in general, right? Like it's the Wild Wild West. That's why I said on one of our shows recently, I said, who are the arbiters of taste? Because anybody can make anything. So, why not? Why not get on here and say whatever it is that I feel like I need to say? The thing is, though, is for some, he's not wrong. There are some who are in his camp. That's the thing. You can always find your perspective validated on the internet. It's crazy.
Interesting. All right, Ashley, any final thoughts before we move on? What are we recapping next week?
Bad Boys for Life. Yeah, we are recapping a documentary available on Netflix. It's in Netflix's top 10. It is called Dancing for the Devil. It is 3 parts. And originally I wasn't gonna watch it, just the title alone. I was like, oh no.
Right.
But it was so fascinating. Me and Delora both have talked about getting really into cult documentaries. This is another one. And this really focuses on content creators and dancers getting lured into a church cult, essentially. We bring on a special guest, one of my longtime friends, Tiffany, to lend her perspective as a creative and somebody who's been in ministry. And we had a really, really good discussion. So cannot wait for you guys to jump in and hear that. If you have not watched the documentary, 3 parts, 3 episodes, check it out.
Can't wait.
It's a date. All right, guys. Thank you for sticking with us for another episode. We appreciate it. Share this episode out with everybody you know. We will be back. But in the meantime, as always, be blessed.
Bye.